S.Dio is a very popular pick for anyone new to Heritage for the future. Not only is he considered one of the best beginner characters, but he is still viable even on higher levels of play. He is a rushdown character with very good neutral, freeform Okizeme tools, and his B&B combos deal great damage and are some of the easiest to do in the game. On top of this, even though he doesn't have access to an active stand mode, S.Dio does a great job at utilizing a lot of the core mechanics JoJo's has to offer. S.Dio is considered by many to be the best character to start out with. Even though he lacks an active stand mode, S.Dio has some very strong normals to make up for it. Any of those very strong normals can be cancelled into his S normals, allowing for some very tricky and non-committal pressure. .5a is very quick, having only one frame of startup. It can be used as an anti-air. It works for that when you want it to, but you don't really get much off of it. .5a is quite nice for applying pressure due to its fast startup, but it can be ducked under quite easily by a lot of characters. You can try to mix it up in your approach attempts just for a surprise fast jab. Dashing .5a is also a very good anti-air option. It's a quick swipe upwards. It's a pretty good pressure tool when it's cancelled into 5s like most other moves. .5b is a very quick kick, only has 4 frames of startup. It can be used as an anti-air, has a pretty good disjointed hitbox. Dashing .5b can also be used as an anti-air. It can also be used to pressure by cancelling it into 5s like most moves. It is a bit slower than normal .5b, being at 6 frames, and has worse recovery as well. .5c is really not used for neutral, it's really just used for his combos or to try to do a meaty during Okizeme. It can be used to punish, since it has pretty good range, but on its max range you can't combo out of it. Dashing .5c is a much slower version of .5c. It's really not used except for maybe stand crash combos. So review on standing normals. Remember that all normals can be cancelled into S, making most of the moves, including the dashing moves, have some utilization. 2A is probably S.Dio's best crouching move as it's really fast. It only has 3 frames of startup, which is pretty good for a low, and you get so much damage if you confirm from it. It's a combo starter, and it can also be used for tick grab setups, which we'll be going over later. Dashing 2A is going to be a big part of your game as it's very good for tick grab setups, which we'll be going over later. 2B can be used as an anti-air. It can be useful to hit opponents that are right above you. Dashing 2B is the better version of 2B as it comes out a bit faster and it does similar damage. They're both similarly useful. 2C is a pretty bad move. Don't use it. Dashing 2C is a pretty great move to just throw out in neutral. It hits very quickly, and if you cancel into 5s, you can make it either safe on block or get a full combo. It's also good for meaties during Okizeme, has a ton of active frames, it can catch your opponent off guard, and has pretty great reach. 3C is gonna be your combo ender. It leads to a hard knockdown. It's not that useful in neutral since it takes a while to come out, and the reach is just eh. So your crouching normals review, 2A and dashing 2C are probably his best crouching normals. You're gonna end your combos with 3C, and you're gonna tick grab a lot with dashing 2A. JA is pretty decent for hitting opponents that are right below you. It's not the best air to air and it does kinda low damage, but you can start some combos with it. JB is a pretty exquisite move. It's a simply splendid, quick air-to-air, and it's pretty much one of the key parts of S.Dio's story. You can pretty much just throw this out in neutral and cancel it into JS and make stuff non-committing. JB is a pretty amazing air-to-air, but its hitbox is a bit high, so you're gonna be struggling hitting some crouching opponents. But it is his best jumping normal. Comes about as fast as JA, but has a bigger hitbox. You're just gonna be throwing this out a lot. JB is good, but sometimes you'll be using JC2. It covers some angles that you don't quite hit with JB or JA. However, it is a bit slower, and it can be used as an air-to-air, while JB is a better air-to-air, and it is his most damaging air normal. Review on air normals, they're all very useful, however JB is the one that you're going to be using most. His grab is awesome. It results in a hard knockdown and generally tosses the opponent right next to him, allowing S.Dio to set up for Okizeme. It's really easy to tick grab into. A key part of S.Dio Dio's arsenal, so much so that some people consider him a grappler, though he isn't really, because once he grabs you and he can start his Okizeme on you, you're pretty much in Shadow Dio's zone. You're in the Shadow Dio vortex. Shadow Dio's roll is the slowest in the game. You cannot just abuse this because rolls can be punished with grabs, and if you blindly throw out this roll, you will get punished with a grab. Shadow Dio's guard cancel is really good. It's quick, it has invulnerability frames, and has great range. It sends the opponent flying a good distance away. 5S is a huge part of Shadow Dio's game. You're gonna be canceling moves into this all the time. It's really great if used correctly. Any normal moves can be cancelled into it, giving it some great application for neutral, pressure, and combos. 2S and 4S are kind of not that useful. 2S can knock down the opponent if they're on the ground, but they're pretty slow. There's really not a point in using them. 623 is Shadow Dio's command grab. Many people like to meme this on you when you wake up since it's unblockable and untechable, but it's pretty slow. All you have to do is jump to avoid it. It's pretty much used a lot for gimmick Okizeme. It only works if your opponent doesn't know what to do to avoid it or isn't paying attention. It does throw the opponent across the screen for a hard knockdown, and you can go into time stop right after, but this isn't a true setup and some characters can easily punish you for trying to do this. Generally, it's not that useful. 421 is Shadow Dio's unique counter move, which upon hit, Shadow Dio teleports behind the opponent. It works against projectiles and it can be used against a zoner that is blindly throwing out projectiles, but it does have super slow startup, making this very risky. You're not just going to be able to mash this out whenever you want. It's not recommended you use it unless you really think you have your opponent figured out, but it is very stylish. Half circle forward is Shadow Dio's knife throw. The A version spreads them out, the B version throws them upward, and the C version throws them low to the ground. On hit, block, or even whiff, a follow-up can be done by inputting 623. Relatively safe on block, but a bit risky to just pull out due to its slow startup speed. Shadow Dio also has a half circle backward, which shoots out a laser from across the screen. A is the fastest and least damaging, while C is the slowest and most damaging. If you hold down the button to its maximum charge, the move becomes red and unblockable. It is a bit slow, so if you're going to use this, it's recommended to always just use the A version. Shadow Dio also has a half circle forward S, where the world comes out and hits 3 times. It's not that useful except for an Okizeme situation where you can cause a 50-50, which we'll go over later. So for special moves, Shadow Dio generally has slow startup on them. You're going to be using your 5S a lot. Shadow Dio's first super move, 236AA, is Shadow Dio's most damaging super move. It costs 1 bar to use. It can be used as a reversal super, but the slow startup time and the move's hitbox just kind of make it not that great for that. You should avoid using it unless you got a good excuse. 63AA is a shitty super. I don't know why this is in the game. It does shitty damage, it's unsafe. There is a follow-up if you press 63AA again, but you have to hold it down to time and it costs an extra bar. You're pretty much just wasting 2 bars. You could use it for something else. Usually it's just ignored. 214AA causes unblockable sparks to come out. It uses 2 bars. It's good in the right situations. It can be used for wake up on some characters. It can be used on some people in the corner. It's probably Shadow Dio's most useful super since it's unblockable. Shadow Dio also has a time stop. It requires a minimum of 2 super bars. Each bar is 1 second of stop time. Cool thing is, unlike Jotaro or Dio's time stops, this one doesn't have a super flash, so you can catch your opponent off guard. Given time, Shadow Dio can do good damage in time stops, but it's mostly just used for style points. You cannot use your 236AA super in time stop. So in general, Shadow Dio's supers are not that great. 214AA is pretty good due to its unblockableness, but it does use 2 bars, and the time stop is mostly just for style points. Shadow Dio is a rushdown character, meaning he does well at getting into the opponent and pressuring them. Shadow Dio has some projectiles for zoning like knives or laser, but generally the playstyle is rushdown as those moves have a bit of startup and aren't really dependable. An easy neutral strategy for Shadow Dio is using JB into JS for approaching and if necessary backing away. This is very non-committing and it's easy and good for converting into pressure or combos if it does connect. You can also approach by simply dashing 2A, dashing cancel 2A, jumping normals, almost any move cancel into 5S, as canceling into 5S will usually help to make Shadow Dio safe. Shadow Dio's dash is pretty good. They don't go a set distance, meaning you can cancel it at any time. You're going to be approaching and backing away using your dash to go into dashing moves, which you will then cancel into S. Shadow Dio really doesn't have a problem getting in to pressure the opponent due to 5S, making every attempt very safe. You are unable to block while 5S is out, but this shouldn't be a problem as long as you back away, or if you cover yourself with pressure. However, he is a bit susceptible to push blocks. You do not want to use your roll for movement or getting around. It's so slow, it's so long, you're going to get punished with a grab if you just throw it out blindly. S.Dio's B&B combo is legendary. It is relatively easy and can loop into itself, and looping more than 3 times is generally not allowed in tournaments, so keep that in mind. This is the combo you must absolutely learn if you decide to main S.Dio. 1A, 5C, 5S, 6-6, and you loop. The 6-6 into 1A is a dash cancel. It essentially inputs 2A, but you hold 1 after dashing to cancel the dash, so you input 2A instead of dashing 2A. If you can get this down and just practice it a bit, this combo shouldn't be too hard to do. It does crazy good damage even if you only get 1 rep. This combo is very easy to start. You can get it off of S pretty easily. The most common ender for this would be 3C, but you can also end with dashing 2A for a grab, low, overhead, or jump over JS. Besides S.Dio's great combo, he also has great freeform Okizeme. Usually you want to get a hard knockdown with S.Dio in order to start doing this. This is most commonly done with 3C as a combo ender or with grab. Upon a knockdown, S.Dio has many options. You can grab normally or go for a tick grab by doing 2A or JA into grab. If people try to tech your throw and wake up, you can try to do dashing 3C 5S since this beats out teching. 5C also works, but it's hard at the time. If they try to jump out of your grab, you can do dashing 5C to catch their jump. You can also do a command grab. It's a bit slow, so they could potentially see it coming, but it is untechable. S.Dio also has a funny thing he can do, which is a fake cross-up by going over the opponent and using JS. Upon hit, you can go into a combo, and upon block, you need to hit them so that they can't punish you. Once your opponent gets used to this, you can try to do empty jumps to confuse them. Empty hop into grab, empty hop into 5C, empty hop into another fake cross-up, empty hopping twice. You can just mess with your opponent. Half circle forward S can also be used as a meaty if timed correctly. If done correctly, you can go for either a 2A for a low or a JA for an overhead. Some players also like to use 3C to mask their approach as they go for Okizeme. As you can see, once S.Dio has you knocked down, he can be very scary. S.Dio also has some time stop setups. You can get it upon a stand crash pretty easily, and you can also get it off of 6-3, but some characters like Chaka can punish you for trying this. If you do manage to activate time stop, usually the easiest thing you can do to get max damage is to mash 5C into 5S on it. If you don't have a lot of time in time stop and are at full screen, you can do a fully charged half circle back C. If you have a lot of meter, you can do some stuff setting up knives and sparks, but yeah, it requires a lot of meter. Just doing 5C into 5S is reliable, but go for the knives and sparks if you want style points. 214AA is also useful for trapping mid-air opponents, since the sparks are unblockable. Overall, S.Dio's combos and setups are very simple, but reliable and very good. Because of the reasons above, S.Dio is solid neutral and can get into you very easily, and once he has you, he never lets you go. However, he is pretty susceptible to push block. Whenever he has you under pressure, try to take advantage of push block as much as possible, but try not to accidentally roll against him, or at least don't be predictable with rolls, as you can get grabbed, and as you know, when you get grabbed, you get in the S.Dio zone. Good guard canceling can also be good against S.Dio's pressure. Try to get S.Dio as far away as possible so he can't start his stuff. If you have zoning tools, try to zone him out as much as possible. But be careful, S.Dio can jump across the stage pretty quickly, so don't go on autopilot. Zoning is good against S.Dio, but it isn't the hardest of counters. Avoid being put into corners at all costs, because S.Dio can easily combo in it. S.Dio's grabs can be deadly as they can result in a hard knockdown. Try to predict when his grabs are coming and tech them. Try to predict tick grabs. Usually a dashing 2A will lead into a tick grab. Try not to roll too much against him, as rolls are reactable and he can just grab you out of it for a knockdown and set up his ulti. If S.Dio does 5S into 2A, that is not a true tick grab setup, and that's actually punishable by your own grab, as there is a gap where he cannot grab you. Practice in training mode by recording S.Dio doing the tick grab, then time the tech or punish grab. Try to get used to teching S.Dio's grabs because it'll get you out of a lot of situations. S.Dio is pretty scary when you're waking up, but just remember all of his options and try to react or predict them. The cross up where he goes over you is fake, just block it normally. Don't try to mash something on wake up or go for a risky anti-air. If you whiff, S.Dio is just gonna hit you. The command grab on wake up is mostly just a meme. A lot of beginners fall for it, but it is slow and you can easily jump out of it if you're paying attention. If you manage to block a move he gets on you at wake up, try to shut it down as soon as possible by push blocking and guard cancelling. The sooner you return to neutral, the better. If he goes for a time stop and you're at full screen and don't think you have any moves that can stop him and stop time, super jump as high as possible so it is hard for him to do things to you in the stop time. S.Dio's roll is the slowest and longest in the game, so if you see his roll, don't let it go, grab him. Remember that while S.Dio is strong and very good, he's pretty simple. Don't overthink it. He's not invincible. Let's take a look at this match between Super Gohan and Squall LH16. Upon match start, Super Gohan attempts to backdash away from Squall and go for knives, which is safe on block. Notice though that Squall got to the other side of the screen pretty quickly. While you do want to get away from S.Dio, never blindly throw out projectiles because he may catch you. Super Gohan attempts to use dashing 2C to catch Squall. A solid plan since it's a nice move to throw out a neutral. It whiffs however. Super Gohan attempts to cancel into 5S to make himself safer, but he made a mistake in trying to dash towards Squall, and then getting hit by the JS. Squall tries to start a combo off the JS, but fails. Super Gohan retreats with the JB. Squall reapproaches with the JA cancelled into JS and hits Super Gohan. Seeing his chance, he combos into dashing 2A and goes for a tick grab. He doesn't quite get the World 21 media Okizeme, but it works anyway. However, Super Gohan techs and throws a JB into JS because neutral. He attempts to use Squall's own earlier tactic against him by comboing into dashing 2A and tick grab, but Squall sees the tick grab coming and jumps out in time. Super Gohan tries to correct himself with a 5S, while Squall goes for a fake cross-up JS, which misses. Super Gohan then hits with the 2A but does not get a combo off it, so Squall yet again tries to cross up Super Gohan. Super Gohan's JB into JS manages to trade with Squall's JC. Now back into neutral, they both attempt to use JS. Squall uses his laser to try to catch Super Gohan while his JS is out, and it almost works. Seeing his chance, Super Gohan goes for a dashing 2C cancel into 5S to try for a combo, but unfortunately doesn't get it. They once again play the S.Dio neutral game. Oh, Super Gohan gets Squall with a 2A, but yet again another missed combo since 5C cannot combo in max range. The second 2A pushed Squall just far enough to be able to escape the combo. Too bad. Squall then gets the classic dashing 2A tick grab. Now Super Gohan will have to deal with the S.Dio zone. He eats a fake cross-up JS, which goes into a S.Dio combo and yet another knockdown. Once you get in the zone, it can be hard to get out. He attempts to pressure Super Gohan on the wake up, but a well-timed push block allows Super Gohan to escape and the JB into JS hits Squall. Super Gohan goes for knives again since they are at a pretty far distance from each other. Squall rolls it and Super Gohan sees his chance to go for a dashing 2C, which he cancels into 5S, but a well-timed push block allows Squall to escape. He almost gets Super Gohan with another JS, but oh, he gets hit with 5C. Super Gohan again cancels into 5S, and Squall does the S.Dio neutral technique. So does Super Gohan a second later. He attempts to go for a dashing 2A after the block JS, but Squall scurries out in time. Squall rolls again. Uh-oh, he's getting too roll happy. This might be time for Super Gohan to make his comeback, now that Squall's in the S.Dio zone. But oh no, the dashing 2C meaty doesn't work. And after he attempts to jump out of a JA, he just gets hit by a 5C and it's over. Remember guys, you can't block grounded normal moves in the air. So we saw a lot of S, we saw a lot of JB, we saw a lot of dashing 2C. Overall, S.Dio's pressure in neutral really isn't anything complicated. It's really simple, making him one of the best beginner characters in the game.